Hags, come on now. If you leave, no more T-bone steaks, man.
Yeah. No more buying AR-15 ammo at the mall.
No more shooting trespassers on your porch.
No more biscuits and gravy.
No more Super Bowl Sundays. No more Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders.
Shit. That's Tor. Get out of the way! I gotta save me some cheerleaders.
I just played Bad Company 2. Why? Well, I need a military shooter game in my life every once in a while. Like, hello, games industry, what the hell is going on here? Whatever, there's plenty old games for me anyway. I probably should have played the first Bad Company before the sequel, but I need to mess around more with the PS3 emulator settings, and I have no means of recording it on my actual PS3. Besides, I played Bad Company 2 as a youngster, and remember enjoying it quite a lot, but not to the same extent as the Call of Duty games of that era. And with the concept of a first-person shooter story campaign being pretty much dead nowadays, why not go back and play a random FPS campaign? Bear in mind though, this is just a campaign retrospective, as online services have been shut down for Bad Company. But still, should you play Bad Company 2 in 2025? Let's find out.
There we were. Bad Company. We were here in Russian territory to back up a U.S. counterintelligence operation. A simple support mission, they say.
First thing you'll notice, of course, is the baffling field of view. This was absolutely dreadful. It took me about 4 missions before I got used to it. This has to be the narrowest field of view in any FPS game I've probably ever played. And I just got done with playing PS2 Call of Duty games and Rainbow Six Vegas. There's a way to increase the FOV with some tinkering with the config files, but that then breaks the cutscenes and scopes, so I decided to just deal with it. And once you do deal with it, and the obnoxiously large weapon models, I'm happy to report Bad Company 2 is actually pretty great.
Whoa. Now this is interesting.
I like the story. It's your typical East versus West conflict, you know, Russia versus NATO or whatever. And that's all I really need. Just some dudes with guns fighting for democracy. This is it. Why do we need a goddamn mind exploration therapy thing with zombies and floating fucking islands? Jesus. But there's a twist to this conflict. The Russians are trying to get their hands on a weapon of mass destruction from World War II era developed by the Japanese. You even get to play a portion in World War II Pacific in the game's prologue, which just made me wish we got a modern era World War II or Vietnam Battlefield game. And Battlefield 5 campaign doesn't really count. Sorry. The graphics here and overall atmosphere are sublime, and portions of it wouldn't look too out of place if it got released today. I'm mainly speaking about the environments here, as the character models are somewhat dated and the low-resolution shadow maps cast on the characters with no modern-day technology like screen space directional occlusion really don't help the presentation. But still, from a technical standpoint, this game is quite impressive. Do I even need to mention the destructible environments? Nearly every building and piece of cover can be completely wiped out, and combined with the incredible looking particle effects and smoke, together with the very cinematic sound engine, makes this feel like a Call of Duty set piece which you're in charge of in real time. There's so much stuff going on at all times that I'm shocked how good this runs. And I remember it running pretty well on my shitty computers back in the day as well. I have no recollection of any stutters or major FPS drops even back in the day. It just goes to show how well Frostbite engine works with this type of game. It's an engine specifically designed for this kind of experience, and it really shows.
Fuck! When is that fire mission coming online?
Just keep your head down and stay out of that thing.
Copy that, Sarge!
But as the visuals get hectic, so does the gameplay. And sure, it's great that you can destroy every piece of cover the enemy is hiding in, and all these particle effects are really impressive, but the gameplay can be a bit frustrating at times, especially since it can feel like you as the player have no real good cover for you to hide while your health regenerates. You see, this may sound actually quite intriguing, but the way the AI works is it basically laser beams you and you get instantly killed most of the time. If by a miracle you manage to survive, you'll need to take cover somewhere, but it felt like half the enemies had grenade launchers and RPGs, which then finish you off before you can even comprehend what's happening. In many video games, especially with regenerative health, the enemy will stop firing for a brief moment or suffer a penalty to accuracy once the player's health drops to like 10 or 15%. This is to give the player adequate time to react and return fire or find cover. In Bad Company 2, most of my deaths were instantaneous, leaving me with no time to react. This is even worsened by the fact that you cannot go prone. You can only crouch, and since most of the lower cover like sandbags or barricades still kept your head and torso exposed, I didn't even bother with them. And God forbid you have to reload or change your weapon in the middle of a firefight, as both of these actions take ages. This could have been easily fixed by giving the player a third weapon slot, just for a sidearm maybe. Like Gad said, switching to your pistol is always faster than reloading. So, the difficulty mostly comes from the enemy aimbot. There's never any shortage of ammo or weapons or anything like that. I wish there would have been maybe a stealth section or a sequence where you have to struggle with ammo and resources a bit. Funny thing, in one of the final missions, you start off by knifing a dude and picking up his gun, and your buddy remarks you're gonna need to conserve your ammo, but there's an ammo box just around the corner which gave me like 20 mags or something stupid. But it is what it is. The difficulty bothered me a bit, as it seemed unfair with the aimbot, but it didn't diminish the experience too much.
The satellite controls are in the Andes. Aguirre said we could bring it down. In theory.
Okay, boys, you just lay down some fire on those targets over there.
All right, Marlowe, Haggard, get on those miniguns and start firing.
Ain't you gonna help us, Flint?
What, me? No way, man. I'm a pacifist.
What? Pacifist? How can you be a goddamn pacifist?
Yeah, it's bad for my karma, man. Don't mess with karma. I just fly.
Max, let it go. Fuck that! That'll fly with me, Space Muffin! I'm gonna knock you to the goddamn Magic Kingdom!
Love you, man.
You silly goddamn muffin-headed fucking liberal!
Now, it may seem like I'm just dunking on Bad Company 2 now, but far from it, man. I loved my afternoon with this game. It took me about 4.5 hours to complete, which is just perfect for this type of campaign in my opinion. It didn't overstay its welcome, there's no pacing issues, not a single boring level or anything like that. Just pure 4.5 hours of consistent fun. And that's it. Had the game been any longer, there could have been a chance I'd be really bothered by the unvaried gameplay and boring difficulty, but as it stands, it's just fine. There's some collectibles here and there, each level has some MCOM stations that you need to destroy, but apart from bragging rights and an achievement, they don't really do anything. The other collectible aspect are the guns. Every gun you pick up for the first time gets unlocked, which means you can use it at any time by equipping it from a supply drop. All the guns felt really cool. There's not too many, like 3 assault rifles, 1 sniper rifle, 1 battle rifle, 2 machine guns, and so on. Really nothing special, but they all felt quite different from one another, and the short runtime of the game made me want to try out and utilize all of them, which I really enjoyed. Hands down, my favorite gun has to be the XM8. This thing is just too beautiful, man. This gun was supposed to be the rifle for the United States, replacing the M4. You're not gonna believe this. One requirement for the M4 replacement was to look as futuristic as possible, akin to Starship Troopers. If that doesn't make this one of the coolest assault rifles of all time, I don't know about us. I'm so glad it's here, man. And beside the XM8, I loved my machine guns, especially the MG42 and the M60. Overall, some pretty cool stuff. I just wish there was a slot for the sidearm. And man, where's the smiley face grenade pin? What happened to this? Such a shame, man.
So they trigger it in the right spot, down goes the US power grid. Then as our fine country slips into total fucking anarchy, the Russians decide to come knocking. The end. So we better find this guy. Arkady Kirilenko.
Shit. Ain't that the fella you didn't shoot?
He's connected to this project?
Kirilenko is the project, but we move this second or he's gone.
I should clear this with Braidwood.
No. He'll just send some special ops douchebags with pussy-ass heartbeat monitors on their guns instead of us.
Anyway, what else can we talk about? The campaign mostly takes place in South America, which was pretty awesome. From the Andes to jungles to deserts to the favelas, it's all here, and each level felt pretty different, at least from the atmosphere and scenery standpoint, if not the gameplay. One of my favorite levels though was Sangre del Toro in the second half of the game. It puts you in the desert environment and lets you go and play a bit in the sandbox. There's multiple objectives here which you can tackle as you see fit. You need to traverse the desert between them using this buggy or a quad bike. And who doesn't love a quad bike? And my favorite thing about Bad Company 2 was of course the four main characters. These guys are cheesy, campy, cringy, and I loved each and every one of them. They're bickering and fooling around the whole time. There's not a lot of quiet downtime in the game, where even when you're just idling, these guys will start talking about random shit, which felt totally unscripted, like they were just going off of each other's improv, and I would go out of my way to idle a bit each mission, just so I can hear them talk. You can distill their personalities basically to just the most common stereotype, but they're so charming, and just as I remarked in my The Saboteur analysis, this cheesy and campy dialogue is exactly how me and my friends thought. This felt more real life than any other modern AAA game that I can think of. Can we have more characters like this instead of... well, I'm not even gonna go there. I just got monetized on YouTube.
You silly goddamn muffin-headed fucking liberal!
Oh yeah, I just got monetized on YouTube, so if you want to throw in a super chat or two, feel free to do so. You can also support me with a membership, and a good old subscribe will also do just fine. For real though, I'm so grateful to you and everyone who watched my previous videos. I've reached 1k subs in a much shorter time than I had imagined, and I want to say thank you all from the bottom of my heart.
With pussy-ass heartbeat monitors on their guns instead of us.
One more thing I wanted to do before we wrap this up is compare Bad Company 2 a little bit to the Call of Duty games of that era. Those of you old enough might remember there being quite a war between fans of Call of Duty and fans of Battlefield. It felt like those who played Bad Company 2 at the time wouldn't even touch the Modern Warfare series, as they deemed it way inferior, too linear, way worse graphics, and they would harp on and on about the destruction aspect of Bad Company 2 and of course the Frostbite engine. Now after all these years, I am of course completely and totally objective on this matter, and by no means prefer one franchise over the other. Having played through the campaign again now, I have to say I'm still inclined to like the Modern Warfare campaigns better. The overall experience in those games is way more handcrafted and well thought out. From the level design to much more varied objectives, everything just clicks better than in Bad Company 2. Once you've played a couple of levels in Bad Company, you've pretty much experienced everything the campaign has to offer, and I still stand by the point that I liked the simplicity and didn't get bored by the end, but it's clear which campaigns had more effort and thought put into them. And to say a few things about the technology aspect, sure, Bad Company 2 had this amazing destruction and better lighting, bigger levels, better textures, and so on, but this now definitely feels a bit dated, apart from some of the jungle levels. Modern Warfare had this realistic but stylized graphics language, and while of course it definitely shows its age, it still feels more coherent and frankly pleasing to the eye as you're playing it. It's a bit weird to describe it, but when I'm playing a game, I get immersed into its graphics and art style, and if the art style is good, it doesn't matter to me what tech the game is using, what resolution are the textures and shadow maps, those things become completely irrelevant. Also, due to the fact that all the houses in Bad Company 2 need to be destructible, there's like a handful of different types of houses and buildings in the game, which are then used throughout all the levels. You will find the same type of house with the same layout in the favelas like you do in the Andes or Chukotka in Russia. Compare this to the assets used in Modern Warfare 2's favela and Russian missions, and it's really a no contest. Also, the houses are usually all just completely empty, devoid of any clutter and detailing. All of these aspects amounted to me feeling like Bad Company 2 aged a bit less gracefully than its competitors competitor of the era. There is, however, still a lot to appreciate about the technology and interactivity and freedom, frankly, in Bad Company 2 that you don't really get in other first-person shooters.
Enough of this sneaky shit.
That's it. Move up.
Yeah, man, this was Bad Company 2. Should you play it? Yeah, right now. Pretty much any old shitbox will play it, and if you have an Xbox, you can play there too via backwards compatibility. Sucks to be you if you have a PlayStation 5 though. Like, I know PS5 has won the console war and Xbox is just a laughingstock, but for the life of me, I don't understand how or why. The backwards compatibility alone, to me, is worth more than what? Last of Us 2? Like, what would you rather play? Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell Chaos Theory or Last of Us 2? Hello? Whatever, man, you do you. You do you. I'm just playing. Oh yeah, delete Black Ops 6, play some old games, man. Enjoy life to the fullest. See ya!